Hello, guys. This is Nat Blue, and today we are going to be doing something a little bit different, something I have not done on YouTube yet, and that is a movie review. So, a couple of days ago, I watched Madam Web. Now, I watched this movie expecting it to be bad. I've heard nothing but bad things about Madam Web since it came out. The theatrical release did very badly. I saw an article claiming it was doing well on Netflix, but I think it was probably doing well on Netflix for the same reason I watched it, just out of morbid curiosity. So I did go into this movie expecting not to like it, but the movie blew away my expectations because this might be the worst movie I've seen in my entire life. I've never been so disappointed in a movie. So we're just going to hit some bullet points here that I have taken notes on my computer screen. So if you have not seen this movie and you're interested in seeing this movie, there will definitely be spoilers in this video. So I would not recommend continuing the video unless you just don't care about the spoilers, because there's no way that I describe this movie to the degree of how bad the movie was. And I'm probably forgetting a lot of stuff that I was very vocally complaining about to a friend of mine the entire movie. I, for part of the movie, thought I was being too critical, but then I took a step back and realized that it was more a fault on the movie than on me. So we have a few bullet points. They're not organized in a cohesive way, so I'm going to try my best to make enough sense out of this. So first, I wanted to talk about Ezekiel Sims. So in the comic books, for anybody that doesn't know, Ezekiel Sims, I wouldn't say is a major character, but I also wouldn't say is fully a villain. So he didn't portray himself as a villain. Later on in the comic book runs, it was revealed that he had ulterior motives that made him a bit villainous. He wanted, like, Peter Parker's power. But he also did save Peter's life a couple of times and died a hero. So I don't know if making him this movie makes him a stereotypical villain. He's just 100% a bad guy the entire movie. And that's not what his character should be like. His character should be a little bit more heroic, or he should have at least had a change later in the movie to make him more heroic. Ezekiel also never had a costume. He was just a dude in a suit, or at least a dress shirt, for the entire time he was in the comics. Never had a costume. I don't know why they made a costume. Speaking of costumes, it's also weird that so many people in this movie had costumes similar to Peter's costume, although he hasn't been born yet. He hasn't even been close to born yet. Um, he's still, oh, he hasn't even been close to becoming Spider Man yet, at least. It implies that when Spider Man started, people would have assumed he was copying other people's costumes, especially copying Ezekiel's costume, because it's just a black and like orange red version of Spider Man's costume, which is kind of weird. It just doesn't have the spider on it. It still has like the webbing design, which is odd. Or somewhat has the webbing design, which is odd. Uh, I would also say kind of think they tried too hard to remind everybody that this was a Spider Man movie. So this takes place way too long before Peter was born. So, oh, so it's a few months before Peter was born, give or take, maybe less than that. But the Spider Women were fully operating as heroes 10 years after this movie. That would mean that they predate him as a hero by at least a few years. Spider Man didn't become a hero until he was a teenager. He's not born yet. So by the time you see the Spider Women fully operating, he's maybe 10 years old, which means it doesn't make much sense. And then I hate that they kept shoehorning Ben into the movie. So Uncle Ben is what most people know him by. He's obviously not an uncle yet. He's excited to become an uncle. They keep saying that. Every time he was on screen, they had to remind everybody that his name was Ben. I don't think there's a scene with him in it that they don't say his name, which is odd because when I talk to people in my day to day, I don't always bring up their name in the conversation. Like if I'm talking to a person named like Jennifer, every time I see them, I'm not like, hey, Jennifer, how's it going? Sometimes I'm just like, hey, because we already know each other. And you don't have to keep saying somebody's name every single time you talk to them. And then Mary, I don't think either one of them had to be in the movie. It's also ridiculous to imply that Ben had met May because they talk about how he met somebody that he's really interested in and it's very serious, which implies that it's Aunt May. But why? This entire side story they have going on about Mary being pregnant and Ben being excited to be an uncle just doesn't make any sense. I don't know why she has to be close to the Parkers. I think they only put Ben and Mary into the movie to appease the Spider Man fans, but I don't think anybody wanted this, so they didn't need to. I also kept bringing up in the movie at one point in her life, Cassandra would definitely know that Ben is going to brutally die in a carjacking. There's no way that at one point in her life, and this is how I kept warning it, I kept being like, wow, Ben is going to get shot in the chest one day. That's what happens. She looks at this man and would understand, wow, one day somebody's going to shoot you in the chest. And she doesn't do anything about it, which could be that she knows that this is like an integral part of Peter Parker becoming Spider Man. But it's still kind of odd that she, at one point, would know that Ben is 100% going to die. And that kind of is a moral dilemma for somebody that can see the future. We're going to go back to Ezekiel for a bit. So the man playing Ezekiel, I don't know his name, is definitely putting on a voice and it comes off very weird. So it looks like he's barely opening his mouth at all. And that makes it look like his mouth doesn't match what he's saying most of the time. It was kind of like an uncanny valley thing where it's like, is this guy actually saying what he is, or is somebody doing like a voiceover? I don't know if it's the same person talking as it is the guy acting because it's just kind of weird. And I think the voice was just not the best voice for this character. And then there's a small chance that the older Ezekiel is wearing a wig to make him look older. And I couldn't stop thinking about that the entire movie. I asked the person that I was watching it with, and they said they couldn't tell if it was a wig. I think it might be a wig, and I don't think it's the best wig if it is. And then anytime Ezekiel jumps, it looked really weird. Like the movement, anytime he jumped, it looked kind of weird. It looked like he was floating, and that's not how jumping should walk. Which I understand in old Spider-Man movies, an issue that they had is if you tried to do practical webs and stuff, it would kind of look like they were floating. So I think it might be the issue. They might have been trying to do it practically with wires, but that kind of makes it look like the person's floating instead of actually jumping. There were also way too many scenes where he was pursuing the girls that he was chasing, but he was very slowly walking towards them or very slowly climbing on the ceiling. He does not run towards these women that he thinks are going to kill him like the entire movie. He doesn't really full sprint except for like that cab scene for pretty much the entire movie, which is insane to me because he's just slow walking at them, but he has enhanced speed and everything by being a spider totem. So why is he not moving faster? I really don't understand that. I don't even have this on my list. I thought it was weird when Cassandra went back to that forest that her mom got bitten by the spider. And the guy who said that he would be waiting for her to explain everything was wearing normal, like civilian clothes. Because I thought he lived with that tribe. And it doesn't say that the tribe is gone, but he's a normal dude now? I guess it's probably been a minute because Cassandra's an adult now, and when she was born is when this guy talked to her mom. But it is odd that he seems to have left the tribe, found a normal life for probably 30 years, and came back to talk to Cassandra. Because it kind of would have made sense for him to stay in his like native attire. Maybe it was something that he dressed in different clothes to not scare her because, those costumes were a little terrifying. But they could have explained it because I was just confused. I don't understand why they did something like that. Then one of the last things I have on here is the kids really did not seem to care about the fact that somebody was trying to kill them. The entire movie, they're just very nonchalant about it. They keep leaving Cassandra's side. They just really do not care about the fact that someone was trying to kill them. It's also weird that Cassandra went to that forest without them. I understand that they were being looked for. It also is odd that she was able to fly in an airport when the police were looking for her. I think that maybe somebody should have caught her at the airport, either on departure or when she was returned or when she returned. People thought she kidnapped 3 kids, and the police let her get onto a plane, from what I can tell. This wasn't at a time where airport security shouldn't have been tight. It shouldn't have been this easy to do. Um, but it's odd that she left them to go to this forest, and that she left them with Ben. Because look, Ben's a good guy. We all know that Ben's a good guy. There's no way Ben protects these kids from Ezekiel. None at all. And Ben's sister is pregnant. His brother in law is, for some reason, not in this movie. He's out of town or whatever. Probably doing some spy stuff because there's that weird thing in the comics where sometimes Peter's parents are spies. Wasn't really brought up in this movie, but sometimes Peter's parents are spies. Um, but he's not going to be able to protect these kids. And there was a good chance, which it did happen, that Mary was going to have a baby while Cassandra was out of town. And then Ben would have to bring the kids to a hospital where Ezekiel would be able to more easily find them. So I just am not sure what the reasoning that Cassandra had there was, because if she can get onto the airplane, she can probably bring the 3 kids that the police thought she kidnapped onto the airplane. Um, and then the last gripe that I have on here is they really marketed the fact that the Spider Women had costumes. The images were released before the movie opened. The costumes look cool. I like the costumes. And then there's, I think, 2 scenes where they have costumes on. Near the beginning of the movie, where Ezekiel is having his dream vision, whatever you want to call it. And then at the very end of the movie, when they show Cassandra walking with them, are literally the only times that these women have costumes on. So the marketing was just to drum up hype. They didn't really include the costumes in the movie. It's honestly a little ridiculous to imply that they are going to be costumed throughout the movie. Overall, I don't think there was anything about this movie I liked. It is almost 2 hours of just garbage. I don't understand why the executives at Sony even thought this was fit to release, because this is just ridiculous. It's like they wanted to do a Spider Man movie with only side characters. Not even like Ezekiel Sims is in the comics. He's not a major villain, he's not a major hero. He's just there. He saves Peter's life a couple of times. He tries to drain power from Peter, and that's literally everything he did. I think he was in one comic book run. I might be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure he was just in the comic book run about the spider totems. That's pretty much it. He did help train Silk, but that wasn't brought up in this movie either. Honestly, he found out that there were three Spider Women, and instead of helping train them, tried to end their lives. So I don't think that has anything to do with the movie version of this character. So if you guys don't agree with any of my takes, or you have other gripes about the movie that I might have forgotten about or not realized, please leave a comment. I really want to hear everybody's opinion on this. From what I understand, it is a universally disliked movie, but I mean, if you liked the movie, let me know why, because I would love to understand that reasoning. If you did like the video, you can leave a like on the video. Every like is appreciated. If you want to subscribe to the channel, we're still a growing channel. I love subscriptions. If you want to be notified when videos are released, you can hit that notification bell after subscribing, and that will tell you anytime I post a video. So, other than that, I hope everybody is having a great day, and until next time, peace.